Is your partner emotionally abusive, or is it you? Is your partner emotionally abusive, or is it you? That's the question that we're going to address today. Now, I'm Apostle Cheryl Richardson. I am the CEO of Judah's Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative, and our purpose is to ignite hearts, inspire minds, and safeguard destinies. And the shortened explanation for that is what we're really about is raising awareness about domestic violence in all of its complexities, bringing focus and increased knowledge to those who are in a position to do something about it, and that would be every last one of us, okay? And so we're happy to be with you here on today. We do want to let you know that we do have a YouTube channel. It's Judah's Roar, DVAI, Judah's Roar, DVAI, and Roar is spelled ROAR-R, okay? ROAR-R, Judah's Roar, DVI, and that is for Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative. So we are excited about what the Lord has given us to do, and we had an interesting experience after we announced what the topic would be this week. And so for those of you who are spiritual, you will understand this. You will know with a surety that you're doing what God has told you to do when you get backlash. Backlash is confirmation that you're on the right track, okay? So there's been a lot of that, but we are not deterred. This is a topic that needs to be discussed, and if there was any doubt about it at all, the experiences of this past week completely negated those, okay? So we're going to talk about it today. Now, it's going to take some courage for you to hang in there with me today. You're going to have to have some guts to hang in there with me today, okay? And this is going to be divided into two sections. Hey, Savan. Hey, Helena. This is going to be divided into two sections. First, we're going to talk about what emotional abuse is, and we're going to talk about what it isn't, okay? We're going to talk about what it is. We're going to talk about what it isn't. And in section 2, we're going to take an emotional abuse test, okay? So you need to grab some paper and a pen because I want you to take this test. Now, the way this test is going to be set up, you can decide if you're testing to see if you have emotionally abusive tendencies, or if your partner has emotionally abusive tendencies, or if you've been in an emotionally abusive relationship in the past, or maybe you're currently in one. Okay, oftentimes we don't even know we're in one. So the test is going to be the second half of this, okay? Hey, Savan. So the test is going to be the second half, but I'm telling you now, you're going to have some courage today, okay? It's important that I wrote some things down here because I want to make sure that I don't neglect to say them. It's important, first of all, for you all to realize that this is not a psychological, test that meets psychological criterion. I am a mental health professional. I'm a 30-year career mental health professional. I am a domestic violence advocate. I am an apostle in the Lord's church, okay? And I am a domestic violence survivor, both from childhood and in my early adulthood. So I know a little bit about this, okay? And what I've done is I've developed this quiz that will help you to hone in on things that may be occurring or may not be occurring in your own relationship. But it's important for you to understand that this is for educational purposes only. Everything that we do, even though I'm a clinician, is designed to raise awareness. Introspection is important. It's important that we know where we are. We need to tell ourselves the truth, right? No matter what. Okay, so that's my disclaimer. Now, are you ready? Are y'all ready? Give me some hearts or whatever. I'm on Zoom too, for those who are, watching on Zoom. Hey, hey everybody over here. Hey, Willette, thanks for joining. So we're going to talk about emotional abuse. And the question that was asked is, do you have an emotionally abusive partner, or is it you? Now, that title can be taken many, many ways, right? That title can be taken many ways. Do you have an emotionally abusive partner, or is it you? Is it you could mean, are you the emotionally abusive partner? And is it you could mean, is it all in your mind? Okay, now, some people took offense to the title, and my response to them was, the title's got you thinking about the subject matter. So the title has accomplished exactly what it was supposed to accomplish. Okay? All right. Now, let me just set this in the realm of the spirit, okay? And for those of you who aren't spiritual, you can say I'm setting my intention, okay? God has called us to do this. This is what we're mandated to do. And this is what we're mantled to do. And this is what we're going to do. Okay, here's what we're going to do. That means that sometimes you may hear me say things that encourage you and make you feel like you can leap tall buildings in a single bound. And other times you may hear things that make you have to really look at who you are becoming, either because of the situation you lived through or because what you're living through now. It's my responsibility, and this is what the Lord has mandated that I do, is to raise awareness. That means ours too, okay? Not just the other people. This is to raise awareness not only for abusers, but for those who are victims. Everybody's awareness is getting raised, okay? We focus on ministry leaders. We focus on businesses, communities, individuals, families, okay? We are serious about this. This is something God has told us to do, so it's not even up to us, all right? If I could explain to you all the backlash, I said, well, there you go. I know this is the right topic for real, okay? Because of the backlash that we've gotten. The enemy does not want you to be free. The enemy does not want you to be free. He does not want you to be free. Hey, Jackie, happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday. You all give Jackie some hearts. Jackie's birthday was yesterday. Give her some hearts for her birthday. So here we go. You all ready? Make sure you share. Make sure you share. Hey, Apostle Elizabeth Jackson. Lord have mercy. She was pouring into me before I had a clue who I was in the Lord, okay? I mean, I was clueless, for real. Clueless, completely clueless. Love her life. Love her life. All right. So, this is what we're going to be talking about. Emotional abuse. Is your partner emotionally abusive, or is it you? Is your partner the abusive one, or are you the abusive one, or is it all in your mind? Okay, we're going to talk about what emotional abuse is. We're going to talk about what it is not. Okay? And we're going to take a little quiz. And you all don't have to put your answers on the screen, okay? Grab a pen and paper. I want you to know where you stand. So you can either decide when we take the quiz that you're going to take the quiz with a view to how you are, okay? Or with a view to how your partner is, or how a past relationship was, or how a current relationship is, okay? So you can use it however you want to use it. You don't have to make the results public. I'll explain the grading and all of that to you afterwards, okay? And it's just important for you to be honest so that you can know exactly where you are. The Bible tells us in Hosea that God said that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. But then he goes on to say because they have rejected knowledge. And so oftentimes we hear people preach, God's people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, but that's not what the word says. We're not destroyed because we don't know. God is obligated to bring us the information. And he cannot fail, right? It's when we've had an opportunity. When we've had an opportunity to know. When the information has been readily available to us. When it's been all around us. When people have told us. When family has told us. When ministry leaders have told us. And we've gone our own way. Now we become a candidate for destruction, okay? You're not a candidate for destruction because you don't know. If you don't know, ask God. He'll bring it to you. But then we have to be willing to receive it, right? The good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes that means that it was the partner. Sometimes it means we were clowning. We've got to be honest about that if we're going to ever be free, truly, okay? All right, so let's go. I told you what the key questions were. If somebody can catch the key questions and type them in, I'd appreciate it. The question is your partner emotionally abusive? That's question number 1. Question number 2, hey Lamont, question number 2, are you emotionally abusive? And question number 3, is it all in your mind? Is your partner emotionally abusive, or is it you? Is it you? Okay? All right, let's do this. It's important as we go through this that you choose to keep an open mind. Choose, that's a decision. So when you get that knot in your gut, because somebody's going to get one, and when you feel yourself getting frustrated and aggravated and wanting to throw your iPad or your computer or whatever, press past that so that you can stop being stuck. press past that. That's your flesh. Press past that, okay? So you have to choose to have an open mind. That means to hear. That is to hear. Thanks, Evan. What is being said. And to be honest with yourself. See, the good thing about this is you're home or in your car, wherever you are, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. You don't have to type your score or anything on the screen, but you will know. And now you will know what to take to the Lord, and you will know what you need to do in order to make yourself more healthy, okay? This applies to people who are in a relationship right now that's not healthy. If you were in one 20 years ago and never addressed it, you went to the altar, they laid hands on you, you fell out, you got up and decided you was brand new and never addressed the wounds and the hurt, this is for you too, okay? All right. So as you hear things that make you uncomfortable, resist the urge to make excuses. Resist the urge to make excuses, okay? Stay with me. Stay with me. Track all the way through, okay? And I promise you, you will be better for it at the end. All right? So, domestic violence does not look the same in every relationship. Did you all know that? If you knew that, give me some hearts. It does not look the same in all relationships because you've got different individuals with different backgrounds and different issues, different wants, different desires, different neat ways of expressing that. And so it's not the same. There are many, many similarities. And this is why you can't really compare your situation to someone else's situation because you've got different people involved in each situation, okay? So no two look exactly the same. All right, now, what is emotional abuse? Some experts say that emotional abuse and psychological abuse are one and the same thing. And then others say that emotional abuse encompasses psychological abuse. I will tell you that from a professional standpoint, they are so interrelated that potato, okay? It just doesn't, they are that interrelated that you don't have emotional abuse without a psychological impact. And you don't have psychological abuse without an emotional impact. Okay, so for the sake of this discussion, it's all about the same. It's all, they're interrelated, they're interconnected, they're intertwined. So whichever way you want to look at that is fine, okay? The goal of an emotionally abusive person is what? What do you all think it is? An emotionally abusive person, no matter if it's us, okay, because we're going to keep it real, the purpose of an emotionally abusive person is what? It's a form of domestic violence. And so every tactic that is used is for what? Power and control. Power and control. Every single aspect of domestic violence is about power and control. It is not about love. Somebody type that. It is not about love. It's got nothing to do with love. Okay? It's got nothing to do with love. What's got love got to do with it? Absolutely nothing. Okay? Nothing at all. Okay? So, the goal is power and control. And the goal of every aspect of domestic violence also is to undermine the victim's self-confidence, to undermine their self-esteem, to undermine any sense of autonomy that they may have, okay? Any sense of independence. This is why many of you wonder, and anybody can be a victim and anybody can be an abuser, and men can be victims too, but check this out. This is why oftentimes abusers will gravitate to women or men who are strong and resourceful and have this light about them, and everybody loves them, and they're talented and they're gifted and they're anointed and they have dreams and they have goals because they intend to leech off of you. You've got to have something for them to take, right? So that shoots that myth all the way down that, you know, you only attract what you are. That sounds deep and mystical, but it's not accurate. It's not accurate. Someone who is empty inside needs someone that is full inside, okay? Someone who is empty inside needs someone that's going somewhere, that has drive and that has energy and who has potential. Oftentimes, the victim doesn't even know they have the potential. The abuser knows better than the victim the potential that the victim has, okay? The abuser knows better than the victim. And you don't want to ever be in a situation, now here's my military training, you don't ever want to find yourself in a situation where the enemy knows more about you than you do. This is why during this talk it's going to be important that you resist any urge to make excuses, or you can get mad at me, that's fine. I'm going to love you anyway, okay? You stuck with me, loving you and praying for you regardless. So, but just press through. Continue to listen, because it's when we have an opportunity to know and we reject it that we become candidates for destruction. Please remember that, okay? Now, in all forms of abuse, the bottom line is power and control. And then they want to discredit you, isolate you, and silence you. Discredit, isolate, and silence. They want your mouth closed. They want your mouth closed. They want you to make them look good and all of that, okay? Whether it's them or whether it's us. That's the emotionally abusive one, okay? Now, it's disorienting and it's damaging. It causes confusion. It causes the victim to not be sure that they can trust their own judgment. Okay, it's crazy making is another word that's used for it. Gaslighting is employed, where things are done to deliberately cause the victim to think that they can't trust what they're seeing, that what they just saw didn't happen, that what they just heard didn't happen. They're imagining the whole entire thing, okay, and they need help. Bottom line. Because if they can get you to think that, whether it's them or us, then they've got control now, don't they? They have control over what reality is for the victim. And once a victim decides, well, this is my lot in life and I'm stuck here forever, there's no thought of going anywhere because they don't even believe it's possible. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? If they can get you to think what they want you to think, if they can get you to question your own perception, they've got you. They've got you in a virtual chokehold. They've got you because you're not going anywhere. Because you're not going anywhere, okay? Now, they use coercive control tactics. What are coercive control tactics? Threats, intimidation, implying that they're going to harm you, implying or stating directly that they're going to harm your pet or harm your family or harm your best friend or cause you to lose your job or share explicit photos of you on social media or tell everyone that you're crazy, or you know what I'm saying? So the threat is so heavy in the air that if you aren't strong, you will succumb to it. You will succumb to it. And you'll become angry with anyone who brings it to your attention. Check that out. The person who tells you or asks you, what are you doing? You deserve better. You get mad with them. You get upset with them. Okay? And that's how you can tell that you're starting to drink the Kool-Aid. Because now you're defending the thing that was sent to destroy you, that was sent to kill you. Okay? Now, let's talk about what emotional abuse is not. This is important. And this starts the place where you might start getting mad at me. Okay? Let's talk about what it isn't. All right? Let's just be for real. Okay. It is not when someone responds to something that you've done by feeling hurt. Let's let that sink in. The fact that someone said something, that you said something, and they responded that they were hurt or devastated by it, does not mean that they're being emotionally abusive. Unless you can't tell them nothing without them getting hurt and upset. Okay? Every time you say something, anything at all, they're hurt and offended and upset. That's a problem. Okay? That's a problem. But the fact that you say something to me and I find it hurtful does not mean I'm emotionally abusive towards you. Is that clear? Or do I need to explain that another way? Why am I talking about what it is not? So that we can level the playing field here and understand what it was we're dealing with, whether it is in the partner or if it's in us. Okay? Now, it's not emotionally abusive to break up with a partner. It's not emotionally abusive to break up with a partner. If it's unhealthy, if it's just simply not what you need in your life, if you can't see yourself doing that with them, whatever it is y'all doing for the rest of your life, it's not emotionally abusive to break up. It's the healthiest thing to do if it's not working, right? Now, what is it? Okay, I want you all to understand this. Unless, here's the caveat, unless every other week you getting threatened with breaking up. You burn my eggs one more time, we gonna break up. The next time I call you, if you don't pick up the phone, we gonna break up. If you do this, we gonna break up. If you do that, we gonna break up. At some point, grown people just need to decide that they can be together or they can't be together and everybody be happy at the same time, okay? Because that is emotionally abusive. If you enter a relationship with one foot out the door, chances are your body gonna follow the foot that's out the door at some point in time. As soon as you hear no or whatever, because you already set it up that you can bail if you need to, okay? So it's not emotionally abusive to break up with a partner. It is not, unless it's being used as a weapon. And every other week I'm trying to manipulate you by telling you I'm gonna leave you if you don't. I'm gonna leave you if you don't, okay? The worst thing you can do in any relationship, it doesn't have to be an intimate relationship, is to set a standard and then violate it yourself. Set a standard. If you do this, I'm going to do that, and then you don't do anything. Okay? It's going to get worse, and you are complicit. Okay? So, it's not when someone responds to something that you've done by feeling hurt, that's not them being emotionally abusive. Unless they're hurt every time you say something ever. Okay? It's not emotionally abusive to break up with a partner. Unless every time you turn around, you threatening to break up, threatening to break up, threatening to break up. Okay? Now, it's not emotionally abusive to express a difference of opinion or even to argue. Healthy people have their own perspectives. And healthy people will defend their perspective. So now the question becomes, when you say argue, right? Are we being disrespectful? Because that's emotionally abusive. I can disagree with you, and we can talk about it. We can go around in a circle for 20 minutes, and neither one of us disrespect the other. Okay? But we each have a right to our own opinion. And time will bear out who is right and who is not. Okay? It's just that simple. Okay? The relationship doesn't have to go up in smoke. Nobody has to get upset and storm out of the room or anything. But arguing is not emotional abuse. Arguing is defending your position. It's how it's done that will determine if it's emotionally abusive or not. Does that make sense? If you understand that, then give me some thumbs up or hearts or something so that I can know. You won't understand what I'm saying? That having an argument is not emotionally abusive. The fact that you disagree with me does not mean that you're emotionally abusing me unless you're cursing me out to express your disagreement. Okay, if you're being disrespectful in the presentation of your opinion, that's emotional abuse. It is okay for somebody to disagree with me. It is okay for someone to disagree with you. And they're not being emotionally abusive. They're expressing an opinion. Normally, if two reasonably healthy people are having a disagreement, they can come to an agreement that, well, I really just don't see it the way that you see it, you know, but they're willing to consider that down the road, that really might come to pass. It might be that they were right about that. It might be that they were right about that. Okay? I remember getting upset with my mother. I was upset with her. Y'all hear me? We were close, but I was upset with her because she indicated that my husband was jealous. And I thought, that's absurd. What do you mean? Da, 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 da. And she said, well, he's doing this and this and this. And I'm like, but he's had a long day at work. And, you know, he should be able to be himself at home, you know. How many of y'all know I had to circle back around to her and say, you know what? You nailed that. It was there all the time. And I didn't want to hear it. And I got upset with her for telling me. I was upset with her for how dare she. How dare she. Now, if y'all have experienced that, give me some hearts. Let me know. I know I'm not out there on that road by myself. Okay? When we don't want to hear a thing, we will rationalize, make excuses, get offended, break off relationships with folks and everything else. But, you know, I thank God I was able to tell her, you know, you nailed that. It wasn't too many times she didn't nail it, to be perfectly honest with you. If I wanted her to hit that nail on the head or not, she would nail it. She would tell me anyway. Because she loved me, not because she didn't. Okay? So, it's not emotionally abusive to be blunt and honest in your response. Don't dye your hair purple. Y'all know I love purple. Don't dye your hair purple and ask me what I think about your purple hair. Don't do that. Just don't ask me. You gotta know who to ask. Don't ask me that. Don't ask me, because if it looks crazy, I'm gonna say, that's not the best color for you. I think this other color would be a better choice. I don't like that so much. Okay? Don't get upset because you asked me. So someone not liking what you like or answering a question that you ask is not them being emotionally abusive because they don't like it or because they have a different viewpoint. Did you not ask for the viewpoint? Okay, so the solution is don't ask. Don't ask. And people who know me, that, you know what, I can tell when people are tripping. I can tell when they're doing real well in their quest to get free, right? I can tell because I can just tell. And then I can tell when they start getting a little wobbly. When they start getting wobbly and they thinking about going back and they thinking about doing stuff that they know makes absolutely no sense, because then they get ghosts, right? They get real quiet. And I'm a prophet and an apostle, so I don't know why they bother. I already know where they are in the realm of the spirit. I'm already praying for them because it's all a part of the process, okay? So why am I saying that? Because it's important that no matter where we are, that we're able to own it. And that's just where you are. And it's okay. It's really okay for you to be wherever you are. If you're in an emotionally abusive relationship and you just in love with them and you just heart them so, and they got dropped on their head at birth and their daddy wasn't there when they was growing up, and they used to be a drug addict and they used to be a dope dealer or whatever, and you just want to hang in there, just say that. It's okay. It's a lot less pressure, actually, to just admit it. Just say, this is where I am. And maybe it's not the right decision, but it's what I think is right today. Okay? That's the healthiest response to that, to just own where you really, truly are. Okay? So we've talked about what it's not. Now, raising one's voice, this is going to be controversial. Raising one's voice alone is not emotionally abusive. We all raise our voice from time to time. You can be the most soft-spoken person in the world. Every once in a while, something will excite you, and you will become animated, okay? And you will raise your voice. It doesn't mean you're emotionally abusive. Unless that's the only octave you know how to communicate in. If you were always yelling and screaming, if you were always doing that, that's emotionally abusive. But we have a wide range of emotions, and we're not automatons. We're human beings. Okay? And sometimes the voice will raise. Now, here's the question. When you raise your voice, what are you saying? When they raise their voice, what are they saying? See, a lot of times, it's not the octave. It's not the pitch. It's not how high it is. What is being said? What are the words that are being said? What are the words that are being said? Okay? You can raise your voice and scream and yell. You can lower your voice. And depending on what's being said, that's more frightening than someone yelling. Think about it. Depending on what's being said, a soft-spoken voice, if I say to you, I'm going to kill you. Did anybody feel good about that? Wasn't that a little creepy? Okay, that's a little creepy. I can say, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. And I might mean it. I might just be running my mouth because I'm upset and screaming and yelling. So you cannot look at just the pitch and how loud it is. What is being said? And what is the intent? Whatever's being said, whether I'm the one saying it or they're the one saying it, is the purpose to gain control of me somehow. Is the purpose to force me to do something that I don't want to do. What is the intent? What is the intent and what is being said? Okay, so don't get hung up on the pitch and the volume. That alone does not make it abusive. It means that they're animated and excited and passionate about whatever it is that you are discussing. Okay. So often the perpetrator does not have good insight regarding the extent to which they are being abusive. Now, for those of you who are going to chime in and say, but the narcissist, I'm not talking to them. I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to people who are not that far gone. Okay. Because a narcissist is a narcissist is a narcissist. The best way to deal with a narcissist is don't deal with one. do not engage, you're on their turf, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. They've been a narcissist their entire life. Okay? Not going to win. So save your energy. So understand that a person who has a tendency to be emotionally abusive, and I'm saying this for those of you who will take this test and realize, whoa, I've got some emotionally abusive tendencies, that oftentimes people don't realize that they are. They don't understand that they are. Now, a person that desires to be healthy and a person who desires to shed those behaviors has to first recognize that the behaviors exist. Okay? So, for example, I have friends who everything that come out of their mouth is it's like, and if you don't know them, you think they're mad, and they're not mad. And then you go to their house for dinner, and everybody's yelling, and that's just the way they talk. Just the whole family, everybody just talks that way, and they are not upset, mad, angry, or anything. Okay, and so you want to put these things in context, and you don't want to make excuses. Because a healthy person that comes from a family, let's just keep using that same example. A healthy person that comes from a family where there's a lot of yelling, okay, can hear, listen, that's upsetting or that's disturbing, that makes me uncomfortable, and they will make efforts to harness that. Because they don't want to be offensive. Because they want to get along with other humans that they didn't grow up in the house with them, okay? So, keep that in mind. All right, and that'll be an important point for you to remember later. All right. What else do I want you to know? Sometimes what can happen in a relationship is if one of the partners is insecure, it can kind of roll over into almost, low-level stalking stuff. They feel insecure. They don't feel handsome. They don't feel pretty. They don't feel loved. So then you might start getting allegations and the phone being checked. And where have you been? It took you 10 minutes longer to get home than it should have. Over a period of time, that's a red flag, and understand that. Even if it does come from a sense of insecurity, it's still a red flag because there's no satisfying that. And if you're not cheating, and if you're not stepping out, and if you're not being dishonest, what can you do about it? You're already not doing it. Okay? Not do it harder. There's nothing you can do. So now you're in a position where you're being accused of things and there's no way for you to address it other than to relinquish some more of your autonomy and your independence, okay? And to succumb to the checking in and the getting text messages and phone calls back to back to back to back to back. And so it can very easily roll over into emotional abuse, all right? And just know that all that checking the phone and hacking the email and all that, that's stalking. That's what that is, okay? It's stalking, and it's an indication that something's wrong within the person who's doing it, okay? Now, let's talk about telltale signs. Telltale signs of emotional abuse. Again, whoever you're listening for, if it's for you to check yourself out, if it's for your partner, if it's for a previous partner or a previous relationship, or even a current relationship. You all ready? Telltale signs. One hallmark thing is having unrealistic expectations. Maybe they want you to work and your job is 12-hour shifts, and then you're supposed to come home and take care of the kids, and then you're supposed to watch the dog and do dinner, and they don't want any dishes in the sink either. All the dishes need to be done. All that needs to happen. Oh, and then by the way, they want some sexual intimacy after all of that. As though you even have the energy for that, okay? This can apply to the male. It can apply to the female, okay? When the expectations are just too high, you are going to school. This is a conversation that you all had at the onset of the relationship. Everybody agreed that you were going to go to college, you were going to get your RN, or you were going to become a psychologist, or you were going to become an attorney or a therapist, okay? And then you go to school, you come home, you're expected to do dinner, take the kids out to the park, watch the dog, cook dinner, and do the dishes. Unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations, okay? Now, making unreasonable demands of your time. Putting everything aside and meeting their needs. In extreme cases, this means the children too. If you have children and you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, they want the children to be set aside. They want the children set aside. Everything, your mother, your ailing grandmother, Everybody gets pushed aside and they want your undivided attention all of the time. Okay? All of the time. Demanding that all time is spent together. All of your time is spent together. You can't go to school. Well, we agreed that I would go to school. Well, I never agreed to that. Okay, that's another thing. Denying that they said things that they actually said. Committing to things and not doing it. Okay? Well, we never go out to dinner. Okay, we never go out to dinner because you never want to go anywhere. Okay, so we'll go to dinner and they set a date, make reservations. You get dressed to go out to this nice dinner and they look at you like you're crazy. What dinner? No, I'm not going to dinner. You need to get in there and cook. You need to get in there and cook. See, I told you something was wrong with you. I never said I was going to dinner. I'm not going anywhere. Okay? If anybody has experienced that and you want to give us some hearts, feel free. But no pressure. All right. Never satisfied, no matter how much you give or how hard you try. No matter what you do. No matter what you do. That's right, Minister Gamble, gaslighting. No matter what you do, it's not good enough. It doesn't matter what you did. They could have a list of 100 things. You could do 99 of them. And they're going to talk about the one that you didn't do. It doesn't matter how hard you try. It's never good enough, okay? There's no acknowledgement that you're improving. There's no acknowledgement of the effort that you're making, even if you are falling short. And remember now, 9 times out of 10, what they expect from you is over the top and extra anyway, and virtually humanly impossible and not even sustainable. So even if you can do it, you cannot maintain it for a long period of time. Therefore, setting you up for criticism day in and day out, okay? You are expected to share their opinion. You can't have a different opinion. We just talked about that. You are not allowed to have your own opinion. Hey, Paula, you're not allowed to have your own opinion. Opinion, who told you? If I want you to have an opinion, I'll tell you what it is. If I want you to have an opinion, I'll tell you. And then I'm going to tell you what to think. And it needs to agree with what I think, or we're going to have a whole nother problem, okay? That is a hallmark of an emotionally abusive relationship, no matter if it's us doing it or them doing it. Demanding the exact date and time when discussing things that upset you. Now listen, here's an example of this. And this is especially for church folk. Somebody tells you, well, you should sit down and talk to them about the things that bother you, and seek peace and pursue it. That's what the word says. So here you go. You go sit down and you say, when you speak to me this way or whatever, it's upsetting. Well, when did I do that? When did I do that? Well, you do it all the time. Well, that's not an answer. That's not an answer. When did I do it? What day and what time did I do it? Okay? How many of you are prepared for that conversation? How many of you have had that conversation? That nonsensical conversation that goes around in a complete circle. And how long do you go before you get dizzy and realize you're chasing your tail? Because the next statement is, when you can't provide an exact date and time, you're lying. You're making it up. You're crazy. You're imagining things. You're overly dramatic. You're attention seeking, etc., etc. That's an emotionally abusive response. But check this out. Let's just say you say, okay, he's not going to get me. She's not going to get me like that again. The next time I have to talk to them, I'm going to have it all documented. So here you go with your documentation. You got the dates and you got the time. That didn't happen. You got a page full of lies there. It didn't happen. You really need to stop. And you're supposed to be a Christian. You're supposed to be a Buddhist. You're supposed to be a Muslim. And y'all not supposed to be lying. Look at you. And you call yourself whatever you actually are. You call yourself a minister. You call yourself a Sunday school teacher. You call yourself a pastor. You call yourself a good parent. And that whole paper, all of that is a lie. That is not the truth. That's how that conversation will go. Okay? That's emotionally abusive. And the thing is, you can get baited into trying to prove, check this out, that you're not crazy. And guess what? Then you really look crazy. You really look like you're not wrapped too tight when you start trying to convince someone who's not interested in even hearing what you're saying, because they've already decided that you're wrong. And whatever that they're doing, it's okay. And they're not interested in your opinion because they didn't give it to you, nor did they give you permission to express it, okay? And so all of that involves emotional abuse. And again, this applies if it's us doing these shenanigans or if it's them, okay? So that demanding the exact date and time ought to be a tremendous red flag. Just don't even go down that road. Don't chase that rabbit. Let that rabbit run all around the yard. Don't chase it, because you're not gonna catch him. Just let him go, okay? Now, they invalidate you consistently. Let's say you're in school and it's something that you've always wanted to do. You wanted to go to nursing school, or you wanted to go to law school, whatever. You go to school, you get a good grade, and they don't care. It's not a big deal to them. As far as they're concerned, you shouldn't even be going to school. They don't know what you're doing that for. You need to spend more time with the kids. You need to spend more time cleaning this house. You need to spend more time cooking a better meal and not burning my food. You need to spend a better time learning how to do laundry. You know what I'm saying? And so no matter what you do, no matter what you accomplish in your life, okay, there's something wrong. They can't just let you be happy that you accomplished the thing. And they certainly can't rejoice with you because you accomplished the thing. Okay? Their goal is power and control. And the more you gain and the more you accomplish, on the one hand, it gives them more supply. But on the other hand, it threatens their ability to maintain control of you. The higher you elevate, the more other humans you are interacting with, right? The more opportunities to gain confidence about what you're doing and to do better at what you're doing, to grow to a place of excellence. And all of that threatens a person who wants power and control over you. Okay? That makes sense? All right. Let's see. What else do I want you to know? Oh yeah, this is a good one. They refuse to accept your feelings and define for you how you should feel. Maybe your good friend passed away. Maybe a parent passed away. Maybe something happened that really was disturbing to you. Oh, you shouldn't. I'm like, you were sad about that yesterday. It's time. You need to be over that by now. Like, I understand your mama died. But she dead now. Okay, and she not coming back. Okay, so you need to get over that. Because I'm hungry and I need for you to fix me something to eat. Oh, your best friend passed away? I never liked him anyway. I never liked her anyway. I don't think you need to go to the funeral. For what? All they did was cause problems. So your feelings don't matter. Your feelings don't matter. In a healthy relationship, no matter what the relationship is, and it doesn't have to be an intimate relationship, if I care about you, it hurts me that you are hurting, right? It concerns me that you are hurting. And I want to alleviate that if I can, not add to it and not dismiss it, okay? That's what's normal. Anything other than that is decidedly abnormal, okay? They accuse you of being too fragile and too sensitive. And this is a ploy that's used especially when you are trying to hold them accountable for something. When you try to hold them accountable and then they verbally assault you, and then you say, because you know, you learn this in Counseling 101, you learn this in some of those self-help webinars you attended, that you should be able to clearly express what it is that is concerning to you. And you do that, and they say, you just being extra. You just being extra. There you go. Attention seeking again. There you go. Thinking about yourself. You just selfish. You don't care about nobody but you. That's all you care about. See, I told you. And you call yourself, okay? If you hear that enough, you begin to agree with them and you become self-critical, not self-evaluating. There's a difference. You become self-critical. And now your self-talk supports what they say about you, as opposed to who you understand that you are to be. Okay? And so your self-talk is incredibly important. We talked about that on last week. They dismiss your wants or needs as ridiculous or without merit. Well, I need money to put in the car to go to work. Well, I don't think you need a job anyway. And I gave you $5 last week. What happened to that? I saw you went out here, you bought a Pepsi. You bought a bag of chips. You should have put it in the gas tank. So you don't need that walk. Walk to work. Okay? Emotionally abusive. Emotionally abusive. Now, from my own life, I can give you an example. When I was growing up, my mother would work overnights. Because in theory, he was home with us at night. That's a whole nother Facebook Live. But anyway, so she worked overnights in a psychiatric hospital. And so she would have to catch the bus, public transportation, because he wouldn't take her. So she would take the bus, and she had to be to work at 11 o'clock, so she had to leave the house no later than like 10. The buses stopped running at like 10:30 or something like that. And he would tell her he was going to take her to work. And he would wait all the way until 10:20, 10:25 to inform her that he wasn't taking her anywhere. Now, for those members of my family who may see the replay or who may be on here right now, this is not something that was told to me. This is something that I witnessed repeatedly myself with my own 8-year-old eyeballs, okay? I saw and heard this myself firsthand. He would wait until it was time for her to go. He would wait until the bus was gone and then tell her he wasn't going to take her. Or he'd give her just enough time to scramble and get to the bus stop to catch public transportation to get to work. And she probably clocked in late because it would be that close. And so that's what she contended with. That's emotionally abusive. Why is that emotionally abusive? It's financially abusive too, because he could have just driven her to work, okay? But emotionally abusive because now it's planted in her head that every night she's not sure how she's getting to work. So what is emotional abuse? It's someone living rent-free in your head. That's what it is. They're in your head all the time. They're in your head all the time. They're in there all the time. They are now manipulating your self-talk. Now you're agreeing with them, or you're anticipating the next round of craziness because it's coming. And that's the other thing that you understand. You feel like you're walking on eggshells. You can't say what you really think because it's going to, result in an argument or whatever, okay? They exaggerate your flaws, okay? And highlight the things that you do that aren't perfect. Now, we're all human. And the sweetest, most lovable person in the world is not going to get everything right 100% of the time. But what they will do is poke, 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 provoke, 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 pull you out of character, have you doing and saying things that you don't even think is right, and then throw it up in your face. See, I thought you were an apostle. I thought you were a Sunday school teacher. I thought you were the church musician. And your pastor think you all that. But if they could hear what you just said, they'd have a different opinion altogether. What if they could see you now? Right? When no one is perfect. When in fact, if you truly care about someone, and if you're in a healthy situation, you may point out to them that the behavior or whatever they said was hurtful, and you may do it later, because obviously if you're having a disagreement, that's probably not the time to do it. You're already not listening to each other, right? But if I'm being emotionally abusive, I'm going to elicit a negative reaction from you. I'm going to pull it out of you, and I'm able to do it because you're engaging with me. I got you to engage, so now I just need to draw you in to a position where you say or do something that you don't even approve of. And now I can hold that over your head. Well, what if I told your boss you said X, Y, and Z? What if I told your apostle or your bishop that you said X, Y, and Z? Would they still be highly respectful of you then? Would they think you were anointed and highly favored then? What if I told them who you really are? Okay? If you can relate to that, give me some hearts. Some thumbs up. That is emotionally abusive, okay? And all of it goes towards isolating and discrediting and silencing, okay? The abuser wants the victim to feel that they have no defense, okay? Let's see. This one's a doozy. Denying that something has taken place. A person who's emotionally abusive will do something that's harmful, that's damaging, that's harsh, and then make direct eye contact with you and deny that it ever happened at all. I didn't say that about your mother. What is wrong with you? You need to stop doing that. You need help. You know what? I know that everybody thinks that you're amazing, but there's something wrong with you. Because that never happened. I didn't say that. I didn't do that. And let's take it a step further. Okay? Let's take it a step further. I didn't do that. And it hurts me. It hurts me to my heart that you would accuse me of such a thing. In an emotionally abusive situation, this happens often. And so what happens over time is the only way you can adapt to it is to start to accept what's being said, because otherwise you're at war within yourself all the time, right? So it's less painful in the short term to just say, okay. And you may even find a scripture to support it. Okay, I'm going to just be submissive. I'm going to just listen. You know, he is the head. God made him the head. And we're to submit to those things that exhibit God's character, not someone that's cussing us out, and talking about our mama, and telling us we crazy. Okay? Okay. All right. So, accusations, gaslighting, verbal abuse, name calling, constant criticism. Okay? Can't ever do anything right. Nothing's ever done successfully. Ever. Okay? Those are red flags for emotional abuse, okay? And like I said, over time, the victim comes to accept what the abuser is saying because it's easier. Because it's easier, okay? It's easier than fighting it all the time. And so then you become self-critical. So now you're helping the abuser to keep you bound, okay? So, you know, I developed out of my own experiences this determination. The enemy has a job. I have a job. God has a job. I can't stop the enemy from coming for me. But I'd be doggone if I'm going to help him get me. I'm not handing him the duct tape. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to help him bind me up. He going to have to work hard to get me, okay? And that's just the conclusion I had to come to, because it doesn't make any sense for me to help you hurt me. So, one mistake that victims make is an attempt to shape and control the abusing partner's behavior. You are not able to do it. They already don't have any respect for you if they're emotionally abusing you. They don't have any positive regard for you, and they don't place any real value on you. And when that's the case, you cannot influence that situation. You cannot. It's not even worth your time to try. It's not. Let them think what they think. Save yourself, okay? And keep it moving. Save yourself and keep it moving. Okay. Health and mental health issues can result, okay? And we're almost to the point we're going to take the test. For those of you who came on late, we're covering this information in the first half, and then I'm going to do a little quick test. My disclaimer is this is not to diagnose anyone, even though I am a clinician. That's not what I'm doing when I have these discussions with you. My purpose is really to raise awareness, provide you with information so that you can do the proper introspection, so that you can know where you are. Whether you are the victim in an emotionally abusive situation, or if you are the abusive partner in an emotionally abusive situation. It's important for you to know where you are, okay? And for those who think, well, you know, abusers, you can't tell them. If they're a narcissist, that's a personality disorder. No, and I've 30 years experience, I'm not even going to attempt that one, okay? I'm not wasting my time. That's time out of my life I'm not getting back. I'm talking to the people who, even if they determine after this discussion that they've got emotionally abusive tendencies, that they are willing to admit that first to themselves and to get help concerning those things. Okay? All right? Is that clear? Everybody understand? Okay. All right. So here are some of the health and mental health issues that can happen as a result of being in an emotionally abusive situation. Self-isolation, okay? And that's due to just being embarrassed and having bought into what the abuser is saying and thinking no one else cares about you. No one else could love you the way that they do. Your family doesn't understand. You know, I remember one of the survivors that I interviewed for our From the Perspective of a Survivor showcase indicated that she was really incredibly close to her family, that they were close-knit. And her abusive partner managed to drive a wedge between her and her mother and her sisters, and they had always been close. So that was not a relationship that was fragmented or damaged from the very beginning. And he managed to do that, to drive a wedge. He managed to convince her through emotionally abusive, coercive control tactics that he employed consistently. He was able to convince her that she could not talk to her family. And they had always been close. So imagine how devastating that is. He completely ripped her support system away from her. And the thing is, that can only happen if you go along with it. And you go along with it because you start to believe over time what is being said to you about you, despite evidence to the contrary. Okay? So, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've treated patients for these things, and many of them came out of abusive situations, okay? Stomach ulcers, heart palpitations, eating disorders, insomnia, not being able to sleep, okay? And all of these things affect your ability to be functional if you have a job, to be functional if you are a parent or you have other responsibilities, okay? People who are emotionally abusive have this sense of superiority and entitlement. You owe them. The universe owes them. And not only that, the whole entire universe rotates on its axis because of them. Okay? Because of them. Because they're just that amazing. And that's really what they think. So belittling you is another red flag. Like you're less than them. And again, this applies to if it's them or if it's us. Okay? Everything is your fault. Everything is your fault. And when things go well, you don't get any credit for that either. Okay? Making jokes at your expense. Making jokes, if it's just the two of you, making jokes in front of your friends or your family. Poking fun at you about things that they know that you're sensitive about because you have shared with them that you're sensitive about it. Whether it be your eye color or your weight or your hair is too short or whatever it is, your inability to cook, whatever it is that you have acknowledged as a shortcoming, whatever it is that they have criticized you about privately, they make fun of you in front of people publicly, okay? Telling you that your ideas, thoughts, and feelings are stupid or doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. Dismissing anything that you suggest, any idea that you have, okay? Using sarcasm and then telling you that you're being overly sensitive. They're always right. They're always smarter. They're always wiser. And then, of course, there's good old isolation, which is typically present in an abusive situation. Even if it's the type of isolation where the victim is cooperating by not sharing out of embarrassment, not sharing with loved ones, not sharing with family members, not sharing with co-workers or with they can be in therapy and not tell a therapist that this is going on, okay? In an attempt to hold on to some sense of autonomy and some sense of control, okay? Monitoring your phone calls or texts, monitoring your social media, using GPS, whether you know it or not, taking your car keys, hiding your car keys, especially if it's time for you to go to work, go to school, go somewhere important. Typically, it's someplace that if you don't get there, there's a consequence to you because it's deemed your responsibility to make sure that you get there, okay? So again, to making you look irresponsible to others. Using jealousy or envy and defining that as love. You know, I'm like this because I love you. I'm overprotective because I love you. That's not love, okay? They treat you like a possession or property. Okay? They treat you like a possession or property. Now, if you're broken, that might feel like love and support and security at first, until it isn't, okay? Until it isn't. Until you start getting cussed out. Until you start getting accused of doing things that you're not doing. Okay? And again, this applies whether we're talking about the partner or we're talking about behaviors that we have engaged in. Okay? And the purpose of this is to help us to look at ourselves. To help us to look at ourselves. And so, you know, many people will say, well, you know, the abuser needs to go to batterer's intervention and they need to go to counseling and they need to... Everyone involved needs to introspect. And not everybody's going to come out of it in a positive sense. Some people are committed to their behavior, and that's the most important thing to them for whatever reason. And we just need to know where we are. We need to know where we are. Okay? And if you want to look at it from a spiritual overlay perspective, I remember one particular incident, and I remember that we were in the kitchen. And I don't even know what the disagreement, I don't know. I couldn't tell you today what it was about. Honest to God, I don't know what that was. I have no idea. I came in from work and then it was bam, you know, just craziness. And I remember thinking, now I'm a therapist. Why does every single interaction with this person end up in the same place with this same icky feeling? Like you have a residue on you after you had this whole conversation, and you don't even know what the point was, and you don't even know what started it, and you haven't even been home all day, so you know you didn't do anything. And the Lord said to me, true story, I'm in the middle of the kitchen watching the lips move, and I'm thinking, I don't even know what you're talking about. This is what's running through my head, right? And it was like ding, 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 and I just got this revelation. When I master my response to your foolishness, God is going to deliver me. That's all I said. And I'm telling you, that thing settled in my spirit. And I understood then that I'm in this now. But God's going to show me how to get out this thing. And in that, it's not just, whoever this is for, it's not just about God addressing them. It's about Him growing you while you're in it. And it doesn't mean He put you in it. Matter of fact, I guarantee you He didn't. If you're getting treated like that, you went and did that. Okay? Now, but He's going to make sure that you come out with something in your hand. You will not have gone through what you have gone through for nothing. You're going to come out with something in your hand. But you have to listen. You have to listen. So then my thing became, how do these little spats start? And then I realized, check this out. It always started with a question. If you can relate to that, give me some hearts. Now, why is that important? I'm a minister of the gospel, right? I'm a motivational speaker, right? I'm a therapist. All of those involve responding, don't they? All of those involve responding. So the enemy will take a thing that is an intrinsic part of who you are and who God made you to be, and he'll turn it against you. So I felt obligated to respond when asked the question. Because what minister of the gospel, what motivational speaker, right? What advocate, what therapist refuses to answer a question? Y'all better catch that. He will take what you assume to be the right response, no matter what, and he will weaponize that thing. Whoever that was for. I'm telling you, pay attention. That thing freed me. That thing, I was fully delivered after that. You hear me? You talking about getting out? It didn't take no time at all after that. When I realized I need to not answer your question. I just need not to answer your question. Do we have any eggs? I take the eggs out the refrigerator, sit them on the counter. It don't involve no conversation. If you can argue with a carton of eggs, you a good one. I'm telling you, that thing freed me. That thing freed me. So I'm sharing that with you. That will help you get delivered. I'm telling you now. You have to have a strategy and you have to understand what's going on. Okay? And so that thing freed me. I was excited. He was fussing and acting up. I remember, I think he'd given me gas money one time. And this is just coming back to me right now. It wasn't funny then, okay? Just wasn't nothing funny then at the time. Okay, it wasn't nothing funny at the time. But I think he had asked me he'd give me gas money, but he had asked me to get something out of the bank or whatever. So I got the money out of the bank, and I gave it to him. I need something that I can demonstrate this because, see, y'all not going to believe me. I got to demonstrate. I promise you I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. Okay. Let's pretend this is money. It was $40. I remember how much it was. It was $40. This is money. This is money, okay? Gave him the money because, you know, somebody give you money, you're supposed to give it back, right? So I'm doing the right thing, what I was raised to do, and, you know, plus I'm a child of the king and whatever. So I give him the money back. This is what he did. $40, y'all. $40. That's what he did with $40. There was a couple of things I wanted to say. There was a couple of things I wanted to do. Okay, I'm just telling you the truth. This is what I actually said. Well, I owed you $40. At the point I give it to you, it's yours. You do whatever you want to do with it. That was not the response he was expecting. He threw it all over the floor. I got dressed and went to work. And left it right there. When I came home, this is what I did. Because for me, that was a milestone. There were a number of things that I could have done, that the Philly girl on the inside of me could have said, could have done, and all of that. That would have involved me not going to work that day. And I was able to hear what God was saying. And I just said, you know what? I gave it to you. So it's yours. So whatever you do with it at that point, it already wasn't in my pocket. When I came home from work, I gathered all the pieces up. All the pieces. I gathered them up. And I put them in a Ziploc bag. Now, y'all wondering why I did that? I put them in a Ziploc bag and kept it as a reminder. Kept it as a reminder that that craziness had actually occurred, and he was not going to be able to convince me that it didn't, because it's right here, so that I could stay the course and understand that that's not normal, and this is not what God would have me to do, and this is not how he wants me to live. Okay, why did I share that? Because from the time in the kitchen when the Lord told me that he was working with me regarding my response to it, all right, he was causing me to gain dominion over it. He was causing me to correct my trajectory concerning how I was navigating that relationship. And he was showing me that I needed to stop investing in the thing that is trying to kill me and trying to destroy me. All right? And so it was a step-by-step thing to get out of it. It wasn't instantaneous. There were little things, but I had to listen and I had to be willing to execute what the Lord said. Okay, it's important that you know that you cannot fix an emotionally abusive person. You cannot fix an abusive person, period. It's not your job. You did not make them. You cannot fix them. Okay, it's not your job. All right. Don't engage. Don't engage. I'm telling you, my exit became so clear to me when I stopped engaging. And engagement doesn't have to look like arguing. Engagement can look like trying to get them to understand, trying to prove to them that you really care about them, trying to prove to them that you're not cheating, trying to prove to them that they come first, trying to prove and prove and prove. From a spiritual standpoint, you are putting seed in the ground, and now there's a harvest for that. So once I decided I don't want nothing that comes out of this soil, I'm good. Let me stop putting seed in the ground over here. Let me stop struggling with this. Let me stop struggling with it. Once you can accept what it is, then you can decide if you're going to do it or not. But as long as we try to convince ourselves that it's not what it is clearly to everyone around us, we are contributing to our own bondage. Okay, does that make sense? All right, are you all ready for the test? Are y'all ready for the test? I told y'all to get pen and paper, and you can share it with me. You can inbox me your results if you want to. If you want to talk to me about your results later, inbox me. We can set up a phone conversation and we can talk about it and process it if you like. We don't have to. The purpose of this test, remember now, the title of this discussion was, do you have an emotionally abusive partner? Is your partner emotionally abusive, or is it you? And I explained that could mean, is your partner emotionally abusive? Are you emotionally abusive? Or is it all in your mind? Okay, now, the things that I'm about to share with you are not all inclusive. There's a whole lot of other things that I could have put on this quiz. But I want you to decide now, and you all going to have to give me hearts or something. Give me some indication when you've done this. Are you taking this from the perspective of determining if your partner, either in a current relationship or previous relationship, is or was abusive? Okay, that's one perspective. Or are you taking it to determine if you have been emotionally abusive in a current relationship or a previous relationship? Okay? Let me know. Are you taking it for you to determine if you are emotionally abusive? Or are you taking it to see if your partner is or has been emotionally abusive? If you're taking it to determine if it's you, put number 1 up there. If you're doing it to see if your partner was or is emotionally abusive, put number 2 up there. Okay? 1, if it's for you. 2, if you're trying to determine if it's them. I don't see nothing. 1, if it's you. 2, if you're trying to see if it's them. 1, if it's you. 2, if it's for you. Okay? All right? You ready? Everybody ready? Give me some indication. You ready? Give me some thumbs up. Give me some of those laughing emojis, okay? So that we can be in a good mood going into these questions. Give me some laughing emojis. So that we know, okay, we're gonna just, whatever this quiz tells us about our situation, we're gonna just embrace that and move forward. Okay? That's how you get better. That's right, the laughing emojis. Okay, there's life on the other side of this quiz. Okay? Question number 1. I or my partner, whoever you're taking this for, whoever you're taking this for, refuses to talk about problems that make them or me look bad. Refuses to talk about problems that makes whoever you're taking this for look bad. I refuse to talk about problems that make me feel or look bad, or they refuse to talk about problems that make them look bad. Okay? Number 2. And I want you to write agree or disagree. Okay? Agree or disagree. Number 2. Withholds affection unless it is beneficial. Do you do that? Or do they do that? Agree or disagree? If you need me to repeat a question, I can. Okay? Number 3. rarely admits when wrong. Rarely admits or owns up to the fact of being wrong. Agree or disagree? You agree with that or you disagree with that? Number 4. Is often forced or expected to sacrifice either my needs or their needs to meet their needs. If you're taking it for you, it would be my partner often forces me or expects me to sacrifice my own needs to meet their needs. If you're taking it for you, it's I expect my partner to sacrifice their own needs to meet mine. And be honest, nobody's going to see the results but you, right? So you can tell yourself the truth. Number 5. Retaliates when disagreed with. Retaliates when disagreed with. Retaliates when disagreed with. Okay? Now, when you're taking this test, you have to take the whole test either for you or for them. To check you out or to check them out, okay? The entire test needs to be taken for the same person, okay? Number 6. Always angry. No, I'm sorry. Is always trying to change me. Or I'm always trying to change them. Agree or disagree? Number 7, believes that I believe, or they believe, that they have the right to force me to do things. I believe that I have the right to force them to do things, or they believe that they have the right to force me to do things. Okay? All right. That was number 7. Okay. Where did my pen go? Okay. My partner builds my self-esteem up. I'm sorry. This next one is, I or my partner builds up their self-esteem by tearing the other down. I or my partner builds their self-esteem by tearing the other down. Agree or disagree? Okay, you need to write those down so that you can grade yourself when we get done, okay? The next one. It's hard to disagree because it leads to anger. It's hard to disagree because it leads to anger. Agree or disagree? Make sure you write down agree or disagree next to each number. All right? Resents being questioned about how they are being treated. Resents being questioned about how they are being treated. And the next one. Overly jealous or possessive. Agree or disagree? Overly jealous or possessive. Agree or disagree? Let me see something here. Okay. Doesn't like, either I don't like them or they don't like me, spending time with family or friends, and isolates. Doesn't like spending time with friends. If you're taking it for you, you don't like them spending time with friends or family, and if you're taking it to see if they're emotionally abusive, They don't like you spending time with friends or family. Okay, next one. Unwilling to adapt to needs and expectations. Okay, if you're taking it for you and you are unwilling to adapt to needs or expectations, then annotate that. Agree or disagree. And if you're taking it to see if your partner is emotionally abusive, then you're trying to see if they are willing or unwilling to adapt to your needs and expectations. Okay? How many was that? Somebody tell me how many you have. How many? How many questions do you have so far? Y'all keeping track? $13. Kayla, give me some hearts. Is that 13? If I'm right. Kayla. Okay, thank you. I'm just double checking. Hey, Ree. Hey to everybody that I didn't say hey to. Okay, so we got 2 more. Y'all ready? Okay. Often makes jokes at the other's expense. Often makes jokes at the other expense. That's number 14. And number 15. Denies that things have occurred after the fact. Denies that things have ever occurred after the fact. Okay? So all of these are agree or disagree. Right? Agree or disagree. Now, this is what I want you to do. For everything that you wrote agree, assign 2 points. No matter if you were checking for your partner or if you were checking on yourself. For every answer that you wrote agree, 2 points. For every question that you answered disagree, 0 points. Okay? We have 15 questions. So I'm going to give you a second to do that. And you all give me some hearts and stuff when you're done adding up your points. It's 2 points for, hey Charmaine, it's 2 points for everything in the quiz that you said agree. Every agree answer gets 2 points. Every disagree answer is 0 points. And for the people who are going to see this later on our YouTube channel or it's going to see it later in a replay on Facebook Live, that's how we're going to grade the quiz, okay? We've had 15 questions. Every agree answer gets 2 points. Every disagree gets 0 points. And you total up your points. Give me some hearts and then I'll let you know how to kind of interpret that. And then we'll be done. And hopefully you'll know a little bit more about your situation than you knew before we got on here together today. Appreciate you all signing in. Give me some hearts when you're done. Give me some hearts. If I can get most of y'all to get finished adding up. We have 15 questions. There are every agree point. Thanks, Ree. Every agree point is 2 points. Every agree answer is 2 points. Disagree is 0. So you're really running through your answers, looking at where you said agree, and assigning 2 points for each one of those. Okay? Now, if none of these things ever occurred in your relationship, then your score would be 0 because you would have written disagree on every question. Okay? So the low end would be 0. We have 15 questions, 2 points each for every disagree. The high end would be 30. So there's your continuum from 0 points to 30 points. Okay? The closer your score gets to 30, the more likely you're in an emotionally abusive relationship or have been in an emotionally abusive relationship, either because your partner was emotionally abusive or because you were emotionally abusive. Okay? Now, if it's you and you're not a narcissist, then these are behaviors that can be changed and can be addressed. Okay? And you may need to get into counseling, you may need to get into therapy or whatever. Okay? Okay? Okay. Well, you know what? And it takes a whole lot of courage to put up on this screen with your scores, because I said you didn't have to do that, right? But here's the amazing thing. Now you know what you need to work on, because even if you've exited the previous relationship, those behaviors will continue into the new relationship if you don't address them, but you have to know about them, right? And you have to be willing to address them. And so, I just thank you, Jackie. Well, you know what? Happy birthday. For those of you who came on late, it's Jackie's birthday was yesterday, so let's give her some hearts for her birthday. And I just admire her courage and even putting her score up there. But yeah, so these are things that you just need to understand. Why do I behave this way? Why do I behave this way? And many support groups out there, right? We have a private group. It's a closed group on Facebook. And the Lord has mandated that we keep it small. And so we vet every single person that comes in. And everybody that tries to come in, I don't let in. I don't let in. I'm very prayerful about who comes in, because it's got to be a safe place for everyone. And we need to be able to be honest. We need to be able to be honest about how we may have participated in what was done to us. It does not make anything that was done to us okay. It does not. It does not. But we can't fix it if we don't address what the actual problem is. And the reality of it is, if you're out of that situation, you don't want to repeat that in a new situation, right? Right? There's nothing that anyone can do that justifies them putting their hands on you or you putting your hands on them. It's just wrong. Abuse is wrong. It doesn't matter who does it. The key is, what are we willing to do to address it and to correct it and to fix it, right? What are we willing to do? What are we willing to do? What are we willing to do? So the only responsibility that we have is to work on ourselves and to be a better person today than we were yesterday. All right? And to be open to information and education that's going to help us to do that. And you cannot get better. You cannot fix. You cannot address what you won't acknowledge exists in the first place. Okay? So I pray that this has been a blessing to you. Feel free to share this. We've just launched a YouTube channel, and it's Judah's Roar DBAI. Those of you who have already subscribed, thank you so much. We are really trying to get our subscription rate up so that the videos can go viral, so that more people can have access to it globally, okay? Judah's Roar Domestic Violence Awareness Initiative is not just a local ministry entity. It's a non-for-profit that has been established by direction of the Lord to bring awareness to domestic violence globally, worldwide, okay? We have accepted invitations to bring education to Kenya. We've been asked by a pastor there and by a bishop there who has many churches under him. And we have an invitation to Solomon Island. So as soon as this COVID-19, when all of this dies down, then we will begin to travel, us and our team, to bring education to these places so that people can truly get free. If you want to support us, share the videos, subscribe to our YouTube channels, look at the videos that are on there. We've got a lot of information on there. We try to make sure that the information is pertinent. Our goal is to see people free, whether they are the problem or they just keep getting connected with people who are the problem. We want to see people free and walking in their purpose. And here's something else that we realized just a couple of weeks ago. It dawned on me that we had, interviewed many survivors, and what they have in common is they're creatives. They have gifts and talents and anointings that would reach a massive amount of people if they were free. If they were free. And so domestic violence isn't this random thing that happens, okay? This is a plan from the pit of hell is what it is. And it targets specific people because of what they carry. Because of what they carry. Because of their potential. Because of their giftings. Because of their anointings. They have been targeted specifically to stop them and abort their purpose. And so our purpose is to make sure that their purpose is not aborted. Amen. And that what God has given them can be released into the earth so that mankind in general can benefit. Okay? And this is why we do what we do. This is why we do what we do. So if this has been a blessing to you, let me know in the comments. If you've learned something about yourself, share that in the comments so that people can understand that it is possible for us to look at ourselves and to understand how we may be failing ourselves in the way that we respond to some things. We're failing ourselves. We're failing ourselves, okay? We're failing ourselves. We're putting seed in the ground. We're investing in a futile argument, okay? I'm telling you, when I figured that out, it was a wrap. He gonna give me the answer, nothing. What time is it? I might point to the clock. Okay, I'm not saying nothing. I'm not answering that question because it starts off like an innocent question and then it ends up in this weird, crazy place. I don't even know how we got there. I don't like the final destination and I don't even know how we got there. And that's ridiculous. So think about this, and this wasn't on the quiz. Think about the things that you hold dear, the things that you think are always right, and then think about how that has played into your abusive relationship. Did it set you up to be a target? Did it set you up to remain longer than you should have? Those core values are weaknesses. I said this in one of my books. Our weaknesses are simply our strengths applied inappropriately. Our weaknesses are our strengths applied inappropriately. That's all. That's all. If you can harness it and master it and channel it, it's a strength. If it runs amok and it pops up in response to somebody else's shenanigans, it's a weakness. Okay? If you allow someone to trigger you and you utilize that thing in the wrong way, it's a weakness. If you're controlling it and you're being strategic, it's a strength. This is Apostle Cheryl L. Richardson. We'll be back on next week. I really want your feedback about this. I got a whole lot of backlash about this, but I knew God told me to do it, and I was determined to do just that. Know that I am praying for you all of the time. You can inbox me. We're on Instagram. We're on Pinterest. We got 3 different Facebook pages, okay? We have a YouTube channel. If you want to partner with us, you can do that through Cash App at Judah's Roar, and Roar is ROARRR. Or you can do it through paypal.me/JudasRoar. Or you can simply share this video. And if you really want to help us and be a blessing, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Like and view the videos, okay? Help us to raise money in that way so that we can take these teachings and take this training, customized domestic violence training, to the nations, because that's what God has called us to do. And we don't want it to be cost prohibitive to the people who need it. This is about life and death. So we're not interested in, we need a $10,000 commitment and we need $5,000 up front and then we need Pepsi in the refrigerator and we need a 5-star hotel. I'm not trying to do all of that. We want to save lives. Everybody needs this information. And according to the United Nations, the most deadly place for a woman worldwide is in her own home. Domestic violence is a pandemic, okay, comparable to COVID-19 worldwide. This is Apostle Cheryl Richardson. Blessings to you. We'll be back on next week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Know that I'm praying for you.